Suspension was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately, the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth.
Welcome back to the Clark Update. WNBA? Something major is brewing right now surrounding Caitlin Clark, Adam Silver, and the league. Following the latest development involving Caitlin Clark and the New York Liberty, Silver has stepped in to address the situation and make his position crystal clear. So, what exactly went down, and why is this latest ruling from Adam Silver grabbing so much attention across the WNBA? Let's jump straight into the details today and break it all down. Professional basketball has suddenly shifted in a direction that nobody actually anticipated. It all revolves around a single name that everyone has been talking about for months. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the most powerful man in the sport was plotting a much more calculated move. While everyone else was busy obsessing over box scores and shooting percentages, Adam Silver stepped in to take control, and his recent ruling regarding Caitlin Clark has sent shockwaves straight through the league's front offices. For many years, the WNBA operated with a slow-growth mindset under a set of strict restrictions. But that era has officially come to an end, now that Silver has decided to treat the WNBA not as some side project, but as the main driver for the entire sport's future. The harsh reality of this decision goes way beyond marketing and jersey sales. If you are enjoying this content, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Believe it or not, over 73% of our viewers still haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free and only takes a second, but it honestly means the world to us. So, have you subscribed yet? Awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Now, let's get back to the video. The way this game is run has been fundamentally restructured, and not everyone is pleased with this new hierarchy. This sudden shift in priorities feels like a total slap in the face to veterans who spent decades building this league from the ground up. But look, from a cold business perspective, the numbers do not lie. Silver quickly realized that the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is way more than just some passing trend. A heavy level of protection was absolutely necessary because this was a billion-dollar potential. This was far more than just a friendly suggestion to WNBA leadership. This new directive changes how the game is marketed, how it is officiated, and even how teams travel. Silver ultimately made the decision to prioritize tradition over massive, immediate financial gains, leaving the rest of the players to figure out their place in this new global order. Everyone anticipated a real learning curve when Caitlin Clark first stepped onto a professional court. But nobody could have predicted the sheer level of hostility that seemed to follow her every single step. Those classic welcome to the league moments started feeling a lot more like targeted attacks than actual competition, from mid-court shoulder checks to blatant fouls that resembled actual football tackles. At this point, the league office had to make a decision that would shape the sport's future 10 years down the road. Reports indicate that after watching the league's biggest attraction get knocked to the floor night after night, Silver concluded that a loose, let-them-play style of officiating was just bad for business. Any veteran who tried to play the role of enforcer against the rookie sensation was successfully targeted by this strict decision. That has created a major divide in locker rooms, with many players feeling like the rules are being changed on the spot just to protect one person. However, the TV ratings make it perfectly clear why this decision was made. 10 times as many people watch Caitlin Clark's games compared to regular contests. Additionally, the league simply cannot afford for a disappointed veteran to cause their golden ticket to remain on the bench due to an avoidable injury. This protective approach has completely transformed the flow of the game on the court, making it much faster, higher scoring, and heavily focused on the perimeter. That is exactly the style of basketball Silver has been actively developing in the NBA for years. Tensions finally reached a major boiling point during the Olympic selection process, a highly controversial moment that many fans still have not entirely forgiven the league for. On the surface, it looked like a basketball decision, framing her as sitting below more experienced veterans in the team hierarchy. Industry insiders, however, have pointed to a much more calculated and cold reason for her exclusion. Rumors quickly started spreading that the league office, under heavy influence from NBA advisors, actually wanted her to stay home instead, why on earth would they want their brightest celebrity to be absent from the international arena? The answer is pretty simple: total control and managing her fatigue. By keeping her right here in the United States, the WNBA maintained exclusive access to her story, while making sure she did not burn out before the most profitable stretch of the season. It was a highly calculated gamble, one that prioritized the league's immediate financial success over building an individual player's global legacy. The entire league was left stunned by this move, because it showed that letting Caitlin Clark grow naturally is not what the decision makers actually want. After all, to cash in on the league's massive, new, multi-billion-dollar television deal, they want to make the absolute most of every single second of her time. Now, fans felt pretty deceived following that immediate backlash, but the actual business outcome was a completely rejuvenated, eager superstar who stepped back on the court and just kept shattering every single viewership record. Speaking of that TV deal, this new $2.2 billion pact has drastically altered the power dynamics between the NBA and the WNBA. For many years, the WNBA was widely perceived as a league that frequently needed financial subsidies just to break even. However, Silver ended up using those rookie stats as his primary negotiating tool with Disney, NBC, and Amazon because of the undeniable Clark effect. The cruel aspect of this decision was that it basically reduced the internal leadership of the WNBA to a minor supporting position. Silver essentially took the initiative, effectively informing everyone out there that the WNBA is now a crucial component of the NBA's broader international media plan. Higher production quality, way more national TV games, and a complete departure from the league's previous niche sport vibe are all clearly implied by this. The NBA's corporate machine is now directly watching over the league. Even though this financial inflow is a massive blessing for the players' future earnings, these days, every single technical foul, contentious tweet, and locker room argument is handled with the exact same level of ferocity as a LeBron James or Steph Curry narrative. The league has officially grown into a much larger community. Silver has stated unequivocally that anyone who does not adopt this new professional standard is going to be left far behind, ultimately making it a high-stakes business asset. This abrupt requirement for charter flights throughout the entire league was clearly one of the most noticeable developments of this new age. For years, WNBA players had to put up with the difficult, painful realities of commercial travel, including cramped middle seats, grueling security queues, and constant flight delays. The league always used the massive expense as their main justification. But Silver and the board abruptly changed course once security concerns over Clark's massive crowds started to make national headlines on a daily basis. They essentially forced all teams to upgrade their operations overnight by approving tens of millions of dollars specifically for private travel. Although this was clearly a massive victory for overall player health and safety, the smaller market clubs were hit incredibly hard because they simply weren't prepared for such a massive increase in overall overhead. Comfort was definitely not the only consideration in this choice. It was a clear declaration of intent. Silver was basically announcing to the entire world that the WNBA is no longer some second-tier league. Even if it means spending money they haven't actually earned yet, this league simply must look the part if it truly wants to market itself as a leading worldwide brand. Although this spend it to make it approach is a classic Silver tactic, it represents a highly significant and potentially dangerous break from the standard norms in the world of women's sports. However, the incredibly fast expansion plan that has been accelerated is easily the most contentious aspect of this entire new direction. Look, Silver wants to completely double this league, not just maintain it. The league is currently growing at a rapid rate that has many highly concerned about the dilution of overall talent, with new clubs heading to Portland, Toronto, and Golden State. The harsh truth for current players is that their own rosters will soon be rated in these upcoming expansion drafts, completely upsetting the league's competitive balance. This sudden urge to take full advantage of the Clark era, while it is still red hot, is directly driving this rapid expansion plan. The league simply needs more jerseys to sell, more games to broadcast, more markets to capture, and more overall inventory. What truly shocked the league was the realization that their gradual and steady expansion strategy was instantly abandoned the moment Clark's jersey became the best-selling item in all of professional sports. There is a real sense of concern about what the next collective bargaining agreement will actually look like, since current players find themselves in a situation where the business is evolving way faster than their union can keep up. The administration's aggressive handling of these alleged rivalry and jealousy storylines has completely upended the league's entire internal culture. The WNBA used to heavily emphasize unity and sisterhood, but Silver's crew has quickly realized that drama sells. It has truly been a harsh break from the league's conventional marketing strategy, choosing instead to capitalize on the fierce competition between Clark and other prominent rookies like Angel Ree. The league is actively highlighting the conflict rather than downplaying it, all in an effort to drive up social media engagement and ticket sales. Naturally, there's a lot of internal friction as a direct result of the WNBA's marketing being completely NBA-ified. Many players feel that they are being painted as villains just to further the hero narrative of the league's newest star, but the actual results are indisputable. Silver's big gamble on conflict-driven marketing is paying off in ways that absolutely nobody could have envisioned even 2 years ago, and the league has never seen this intense level of fan involvement. The commissioner's office has made an incredibly bold statement as this most recent round of heavy decisions finally comes to a close. The WNBA is simply no longer some developmental project. The cold, harsh reality of market value has completely taken the place of the old-school rules of earning your stripes in this high-stakes business. All in a single season. Look, Adam Silver's intervention has basically forced this league to mature by 10 years, and despite the obvious growing pains, the potential payoff is enormous. At this critical juncture, every single decision the league makes regarding Caitlin Clark serves as a proxy for the entire future of the sport. There is simply no turning back now. Whether you love this new direction or long for the days of a closer-knit society, those tough decisions being made right now are laying the groundwork for a league that could eventually hold cultural power on par with the NBA itself. And that whole journey started the very second Adam Silver made the executive call to protect his most valuable asset at all costs. The players might be highly frustrated, and the league itself might be completely stunned, but the entire world is watching right now. And in the sports business, that is the only metric that actually matters. These moves will have major long-term ripple effects, especially when the next generation of players starts viewing the WNBA as a viable, profitable career path rather than just a pipe dream. This ongoing conflict between the younger generation and the old guard is simply not going away anytime soon. If anything, as the stakes keep rising, the league's decision-making process is only going to become more severe. Now that Commissioner Silver has placed his bets, literally everyone in the basketball community is forced to play the hand they have been dealt. It remains to be seen if this league can stay true to its roots while chasing the incredibly lofty goals that have been set for it. But make no mistake, one thing is certain. The WNBA we all knew just 12 months ago has been completely replaced by a fast-paced, high-drama, and highly profitable version of the game that is really only just beginning. Makes you wonder how far the commissioner is prepared to go to ensure this Caitlin Clark era never ends. Because those shocking moves we saw today are very likely just the beginning of a massive, sweeping shift that will ultimately redefine women's sports on a global scale. The sudden shift in officiating alone has already triggered massive uprisings inside locker rooms. Imagine playing a physically punishing style of basketball for 10 straight years, only to be told overnight that barely breathing on the rookie will trigger a foul. Silver's orders were clear: protect the shooter. She was the spark. But this was never just about Clark. Look, the league office realized that casual fans do not tune in to watch sloppy wrestling matches. They want to see fast breaks and deep logo threes. By calling things much tighter, Silver basically forced the WNBA to adopt the same offense-friendly mindset we see in the NBA. Coaches who built their entire defensive identity around pure physical play called this sudden shift downright brutal. In just a few short weeks, they had to abandon years of defensive strategy. How quickly the league office actually enforced these new rules was just as shocking as the changes themselves. Refs who bought into this new wide-open style got promoted to key prime time slots, while those who resisted faced heavy scrutiny, leaving the players incredibly paranoid. Opposing teams felt like they could not even breathe on Clark without a whistle blowing, leading to heavy accusations that the game was rigged for its new star. But inside the league office, they saw this as a necessary evolution. Let's be real, you don't want a star who can pull up from 40 feet stuck in a clinch for 40 minutes. You need her free to generate those massive viral highlights. Silver is directly bankrolling this viral economy. He knows damn well that the value of this league jumps by millions of dollars every single time Clark hits another highlight reel bucket. But the exact cost of that massive growth is completely alienating the league's defensive specialists, who now feel like relics of a bygone era. According to leaked internal documents, the league was clearly prioritizing pure entertainment value over traditional, hard-nosed basketball grit. Many saw this as the ultimate betrayal of the WNBA's identity, which was always about earning every single bucket and playing tough. Now, some critics view the whole thing as a choreographed stage performance designed to highlight a single superstar. But those first-time fans do not care about history. They care about the show, and they want to be part of the spectacle. And Silver is making sure this spectacle is as thrilling and highly polished as possible. Because of this bizarre situation, the premier defenders in the league are now genuinely afraid to just do their jobs. They know a hard foul on Clark will not just lead to free throws. It means being cast as the villain in a week-long sports media cycle. That heavy psychological pressure is a deliberate part of this ruthless transition. The league is using this exact type of soft power to change the product without ever officially rewriting the rule book. It is about making the biggest stars untouchable, a concept that took the NBA decades to fully master. What took decades to transition from the Jordan to the LeBron eras is playing out in real time in a single WNBA season, severely shocking the system. Coaching staffs are being forced to rewrite every single page of their scouting reports. Do you still try to play physical defense, or do you just try to outscore them? Increasingly, that latter option is the answer. The TV partners specifically demanded this shift toward high-scoring games, and Silver delivered exactly what they wanted, making the product look just like the modern NBA. This has massive financial ramifications. The salary cap is bound to soar as overall revenue increases. In 5 years, the very players whining right now might be signing those $20 million contracts. But right now, this transition is pretty uncomfortable for their reputations and style of play. The veterans are really taking the hit. They are basically being ordered to step aside for this new era, and the league office has been anything but polite about it. There have been some very sharp lines drawn in the sand here. You are either blocking this new vision, or you are supporting it. And as Adam Silver's team has made plain, the WNBA used to operate with a lot more cooperation between players in the front office. So this strict top-down management style is pretty new. A cold corporate urgency has completely replaced that old collegial attitude. There is a real feeling that the league cannot afford to waste its tiny window of opportunity on sentimentality. That explains exactly why the decision regarding Clark was so unexpected. It marked the end of the WNBA as a small, player-driven league, and the start of it becoming a major force in international media. Every corner of the basketball world is feeling the direct effects of this shift. The WNBA is becoming a highly appealing destination for international stars who want to be part of the Clark phenomenon, and even rival leagues abroad are paying close attention. Clark is under tremendous strain here too. She is the center of an entire industry, not just a player. Every single choice the league makes regarding her is closely scrutinized for bias, and every move she makes is put under a microscope. But Silver has not wavered in the face of it. He knows that history will ultimately judge this era by its growth rather than the hurt feelings of the players who came before the boom. Pro sports are a business first and a game second. That is a very harsh reality. For the first time ever, the WNBA is being run like a high-stakes corporation, and the results are both startling and indisputable. It took a powerhouse rookie from Iowa and a commissioner with a cold, calculated vision to make this new era a reality. The future of this league is brighter than anyone imagined. The pace is faster, and the stakes are so much higher. Even if the path was littered with choices that shook the sport to its core, but the questions only get tougher as we move forward. Like, when the next big superstar arrives, how will the league treat them? Will they get that same level of promotion and protection, or was this just a one-time experiment built specifically for Clark? Internal team dynamics are still shifting, and the league rivals are keeping a very close eye on the situation. But one thing is crystal clear. The WNBA is no longer playing catch-up, they are setting the tempo. Once the initial shock finally wears off, a new reality sets in. Those tough, controversial decisions made today are going to become the new normal. To survive and thrive, the league did exactly what had to be done. They permanently changed this game in the process.